Good day all, welcome back to South Africa, and this is South African Prepper. So, 26th of November 2022, it's roughly about 4 o'clock in the morning in South Africa. So, we're experiencing some nice rains over the weekends, and I must say we are fairly blessed. So, we took a big gamble, we planted fairly early in August. And we're seeing some very good results. So we are very, very fortunate and very blessed. So I want to talk to you about D-Day. Okay, the day that shit hits the fan or your country's collapse will actually happen. Now, the signs will always be around you. Okay, go have a look specifically in your area. What we normally do is we take the dog for a walk, or the dogs, we take them for a walk at least once or twice a week, so we can see and observe what is happening in our immediate surroundings. It is extremely important that you are aware of what's happening in your province or in your state and in your country, because there will be signs that will show you that you are close to D-Day of SHTF, or Shit Hits the Fan Day. In South Africa, we have most possibly the biggest preparedness community. Okay, so these are an organization of a whole lot of people that are preparing specifically for the collapse of South Africa. Now, in South Africa, we've gone through phases where the first phase is there might be a collapse, and we've gone into a phase of there's definitely going to be a collapse. Now the question is when is the collapse going to happen? And there's a whole lot of things that one has to look out if you're going to predict a collapse. Now, a lot of people think that a collapse is like switching on the light. Okay, one morning you wake up and you switch on the light and everything has collapsed. Now, it doesn't work like that. It is a gradual process of a whole lot of things that are bottlenecking, and then the country as a whole, society, just cannot bear the weight of what is happening, and then everything just falls apart. Okay, so coming back to the organization, it is extremely important that you understand as a prepper, even if you do belong to an organization such as we have in South Africa, that is the biggest preparedness community possibly in the world. Okay, you have to understand that you yourself have to take responsibility for yourself and for your family. Okay, there's a misperception, especially in South Africa, that belonging to an organization, they are going to look after you. Okay, and that is not the reality, and that is not the fact. Okay, these organizations are created to give you a general framework. Okay, and what happens a lot of the time, especially in South Africa, a lot of people join this organization in large numbers. They do have the numbers, but sadly enough, only 10 to 15% of these members are actually active. What I mean by active is practicing the strategy and the plan for D-Day. Okay, so it is important that you actually practice when D-Day happens. So whatever your strategy is, bugging in, bugging out, relocating, staying, whatever your strategy is, doesn't matter. You need to be practicing it. Okay, if you're not practicing it, it means you are not involved. Now, you have to look after yourself first. Okay, you are your first responder. So, as a prepper, you need to make sure that your family, and that includes your wife or your partner and your children, actually are equipped to deal with D-Day. Okay, now in South Africa we see D-Day as it will be an extremely violent process, because we are minorities in South Africa. We are white South Africans. Okay, we will be one of the main targets in South Africa, because there's a myth in Africa that the white man has always got a lot, and they always store up a lot of food, and they have a lot of money. And the politicians in South Africa do tell their voters that the white people have got everything, which is in reality not a fact, because we do have a lot of poor white South Africans in South Africa. But that is the brainwashing that the politicians are doing in South Africa, by telling the majority black people that if you want something, you can go and get it from the white people. So as a white South African, as a minority group in South Africa, we will be one of the targets come D-Day. So you need to equip your family. Your family needs to be able to defend themselves. Okay? Now, when it comes to defending yourself, you need to know what is legal to do and what is not legal to do, so that you can act in a legal way of defending yourself. And this is one very important thing, because our moral compass as white South African, as conservatives and as patriots of our culture, there is a right and there is a wrong, and we still need to stick within that moral compass. But you do need to learn how to defend your family, and you need to prepare your family so they can defend themselves, and that includes your kids. There's a misperception. We grew up on the farm, and from the age of 5 and 6, we used to handle .22 rifles, shooting birds and small game and rabbits and things like that. So for some reason, white minority people in South Africa do not know how to handle their firearms properly, and you need to go for training. So you need to be aware of what's happening in your surrounding areas. You actually need to go for training, and this includes the old veterans from the Bush War. Guys, a lot of you have got the experience and the knowledge, okay? But come D-Day, it's going to be worthless if you did not practice in the meantime. You need to go to the shooting range, okay? You need to go to a tactical course to try and refresh the old experiences and the memories of the past. We know veterans, the gun has been in the safe for 30 years. Buddy, how the hell are you going to take it out come D-Day? It's not going to work. And it's coming. The collapse of South Africa is extremely close. Okay? You can actually see the signs. Eskom, our electricity provider, they ran out of diesel. And they don't have any money to buy more diesel. Okay? We're going through blackouts 4 to 8 hours per day. Okay? And this has an impact on businesses. This has an impact on the pricing of food. Look at the petrol and the diesel pricing. This is signs, okay, that there is something coming. When we go do shopping, okay, we normally go to 1 or 2 of the same stores, and we always observe what is on the shelves, okay, and it tells us a story. We go buy our bread and our milk and whatever we need, sugars and coffees and teas, but we look at certain things that is telling us a story within those stores. And I can tell you, I have asked the one specific store manager many times, why are your shelves a little bit empty? Because there's a lot of spaces. No, then he tells me they've got a supply issue from central distribution. These days he actually avoids me because I always ask him the same question, and his answer is always the same. So there's a consistent problems if you look at food supply in general in South Africa. And they're very clever because they will pack the shelves in such a way that you don't really notice. If you don't look for it, if you take out the first row, you'll see the rest of the shelf at the back is empty. Okay? And then one sign that there's a collapse coming in South Africa is the pricing of food. Okay, now South Africa, in a sort of a way, we're quite lucky because we do produce a lot of food ourselves. So we've got a little bit of a buffer when it comes to food. I don't think we'll run out of food very soon. But the problem is people won't be able to afford the food. Food is coming a hell of expensive. And people's salaries are not keeping up. The guy at the petrol station, the cashier, the domestic worker, the guy working on your garden, these people can't afford food anymore, guys. And it's going to bottleneck. And these people are going to become hungry. They're going to become desperate. Okay? And then they're going to come for you, the minority South African, because apparently, according to the politicians, you have a lot and they can take from you. So when you are part of these organizations, especially in South Africa, it is a very good time now to start asking relevant questions towards your leaders, because certain things need to be in place, okay, and certain preparations have to be at a point where it is finalized. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. Remember my previous video about bugging out during anarchy, okay? And I've had some great responses from that video. People saying they never thought about that. So think of your strategy. Practice your strategy. Practice your skills, your self-defense skills. Practice your survival skills. You need to be able, all of that food that you stored up, you need to be able to cook it somehow and prepare it. There's some very, very hard times coming in South Africa, guys. Extremely hard times. You look at Europe, they've got shortages galore. Anything from power to petrol to diesel to food, okay? Those Europeans are going to have an extremely hard winter. It's not going to be fun. And it's going towards North America as well. An extremely hard time waiting and lying for the population of this world. And the only way you're going to survive is if you prepare. Prepare for the short term. We've spoken about this in previous videos. Prepare short term and prepare to survive long term. Short term, all your preps, your dry foods in your cans. Long term is planting and producing your own food. This is South African Prepper. Guys, please like, share and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. We are doing fantastic. And we love you all. God bless.